All right, well, welcome everyone to Creator Economy NYC. Woo! Thank you all for being here on a Monday night. Obviously, no one has anything else to do on a Monday, so I'm glad to take that real estate. But seriously, thank you all for being here. My name is Brett Deshevsky, and I am the founder and organizer of Creator Economy NYC. We are an organization here in New York that is connecting the city's leading marketers, creators, brands, all together. And we aim to do two things. First and foremost is champion the New York City creator economy and all that's being built here. All of you. All right, that deserves some cheer. The creator economy is happening here, and it's evident in this room and other events and stuff that you go to. And also the other thing is to foster relationships and learning that pushes the creator economy forward. Because a rising tide does lift all boats, and we do that through things like this panel tonight, as well as through our newsletter and other stuff that we're doing. So really great to have you all here. This is our 16th event of the year, which is just absolutely incredible. Absolutely incredible. Let me hear you holler if this is not your first Creator Economy NYC event. Damn. All right. And if this is your first event, let me hear you holler. All right. Well, welcome to the community. Welcome, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Now, before we dive in, I do want to give a few very necessary shout-outs. Just in case you guys heard an applause, I put some backtrack there. To our sponsors who make this community and these events possible to bring us all together in this room. First, to Teachable. If you've been to our events before and have been in the community, you know that Teachable has been a really big supporter of Creator Economy NYC, and in general, a supporter of the creator ecosystem. So they are a platform that's enabling creators to basically productize their knowledge and their skills, monetize themselves as a creator through digital products, courses, memberships, community, all of that good stuff, and they're serving as great business partners to everyone in the creator space, and we'll be doing a lot more with them in the new year, so huge round of applause to Teachable. And also to beehiiv. All right, wow, beehiiv came out, they're buzzing over here, they're buzzing. So beehiiv is a newsletter platform that's built for creators. And if you're subscribed to the Creator Economy NYC newsletter, you may know that it is built on beehiiv. And if you're not subscribed, you certainly will be after this. I'm just letting you know. But beehiiv is building a world-class newsletter operating system for creators, enabling you to own your audience, connect deeply with them, as well as they have an amazing ad network that is helping creators get monetized, which is really amazing. And they're doing a lot of innovation here. So thank you to the beehiiv team. They're here tonight up front. One of them's wearing a blazer. One of them's wearing a literal hive on their shirt, which is dope. We need to get some merch here. But huge shout out to beehiiv. Let's give a round of applause. And also Fig Wealth. Fig is a new sponsor of ours, but I'm very excited to have them because they are helping creators manage and make more money. Because you may know if you're a full-time creator or solopreneur or freelancer, however you want to define yourself, it's really difficult to navigate the world of taxes, to also figure out how to, make money on your money through like an investment account. And Fig is really enabling that and helping that. They're currently in waitlist, so I'll certainly send a link out so y'all can join that and be first to get on it and provide feedback and help shape the future of it. And I hope next year we talk more about money in the creator economy because it's certainly an important part of it. So let's welcome Fig and give them a big round of applause. And cannot forget our amazing volunteers tonight who literally help run everything. I want to give a huge shout out first to Mel, who's been outside, or if she's in the room, she was checking everyone in. One person show, so let's give a shout out to Mel. Amir is over here. He's been so helpful behind the scenes with a ton of stuff, so huge shout out to Amir. And then Leon is here as well somewhere, and he's also always a great help. I don't know if he's being chatty Cathy somewhere, but oh, there he is. Thank you, Leon. Amazing. So tonight we're diving into a topic that I think really has been shaping the creator economy. And that, of course, is personal branding. And we have an amazing group of panelists here who are all New York City based, who have uniquely been building personal brands around what makes them uniquely them. And so we'll be diving into how you yourself can turn your knowledge, your experiences, your life into a personal brand. Whether you want to be a creator or perhaps you're just a marketer, right? And you want to level up in your career. Personal brand really does take you a long way. And that's exactly what we'll be discussing here tonight. So panel logistics, I know I've been talking a lot. We're going to chat for around 30 minutes or so. I promise it's going to be a very exciting and fun conversation. It will be very interactive, more roundtable-y, and then we'll open it up for Q&A so you all can share your questions. And of course, this is the creator economy. So pull out your phones. I know you won't usually hear that at an event like this. And take content and be sure to tag all of our wonderful brands and the panelists if you can. Very much appreciate that. So before we kick things off, I say that all the time, I do want to get a feel real quick. How many people here are full-time content creators and have been building their personal brands? Okay, amazing. Part-time creators looking to level up their brand a little bit. Oh, okay, good size. Aspiring creators who are just getting started on their journey. Okay, it's a little same mix. Anyone here just exploring, wanting to learn more about this space? I'm here for you, Brett. Okay, I appreciate that. And who's here because you heard there'll be free drinks in the beginning? Gotcha. I appreciate that one. All right. Now, before bringing up the panelists, I do want to hand the mic over to Jack Appleby, who Jack and I talk a lot about the creator economy. And we do talk about this whole thing about personal branding, especially as I'm trying to build Creator Economy NYC and navigate it myself. So this is a panel I really want to learn about and learn on. And Jack's been working on some really exciting stuff that I'll pass it off to him to talk about his philosophy around personal branding in this space, as well as what else he might be working on. So please join me in welcoming Jack Appleby to the stage.
Thanks, buddy. Hi, everybody. It is wild how many people are here. I think we had 700 RSVPs for this event. I think it's what Brett said, and this room fills, 200. So thank you, everybody, for being here. Like Brett mentioned, him and I talked about a specific philosophy around social media strategy and personal branding and content creation for a long time. There's a lot of information out there about how to tie yourself to trends or how to go get the audience you want. And that's kind of not where do I need to be closer? I'm a loud guy. I'm trying to not blow all these people out. I think there's a lot of opportunity out there for you to just be yourself. I think the best personal brands in the world and the best content creators in the world, they're not going after someone specific. They're really representing themselves within their content in a really special, unique way. So if you don't know me a little bit about my background, I worked in social media strategy for 15 years now. I led strategy for Beats by Dre, Verizon, Microsoft, the TV show Community, a bunch of video games over the years. And throughout that journey, I wrote about my advertising experience and just what I thought this space was, what it was becoming. And I met a lot of people in this room, like John over here, by doing that kind of stuff. All I wanted to do was meet other advertising professionals through Twitter and LinkedIn. That was the only reason I started a personal brand. It ended up growing to be a large enough thing that I started a newsletter on beehiiv, wherever they are. Hi, beehiiv friends. And now I write Future Social as my full-time job. I have 70,000 readers, and I write an opinion piece once a week just about what I think's happening in the social strategy space or the creator space. And I no longer work in advertising because I can just talk about advertising full-time now, which it's been very, very fun for me. But even past that, social media changed my life so many different times. When I was a kid who just coming from Riverside, California, couldn't find people who liked the emo music that I liked. I used Twitter to find other friends who wanted to talk about that stuff. Ended up starting a blog and writing for a national magazine. About a year ago, I decided to pick up basketball again, and just for a gag, did a video as a 35-year-old washed-up ex-college player trying to get it back. A year later, I have 125,000 followers on completely different accounts from my marketing stuff, as people watch me deal with knee injuries while I try to play semi-pro basketball, and now I'm traveling the country getting to do that, all by just kind of being myself and not trying to fit into any of these specific things and telling what's really unique about my story. So that's all to say. This slide's behind me with obviously what I've been revealing this whole time. I really want to help other people learn how to speak about themselves and be themselves online. I don't want you to try to be other things. Like, let's figure out what's special about you. So the folks at Teachable, they actually approached me, had me come in and speak to some of their top creators, and pitched me on, if you really are passionate about this stuff, you need to do this in a different format. You have your content out there where you can reach these wide audiences, but how are you gonna work with people closer? How are you gonna build a community of people who can help each other learn how to be yourself online? So they helped me a lot, and we came up with the idea for this course called How to Market Yourself. It's gonna be coming out in December, but what we've done is, specifically for this group today, we've launched a wait list where anybody who's interested in learning more about sharing your personal story online, whether you're a marketer who wants to dive into LinkedIn because you want to start finding your next job, and the sneaky way to do that's by making content about yourself, or if you're a content creator who's kind of dipped your toe into making videos, but you're starting to get a little burned out. Like, I genuinely believe the reason people get burned out is because their content's not totally true to who they are, and I want to help you guys get better at that. So specifically for this audience today, like, we've locked in, like, you'll get 50% off the course, and I'm throwing in a digital event that's just for the people in this room to talk about this stuff. So if you use this big, there's always a QR code, isn't there? Use this big QR code to get on the wait list for that. And then also anybody who uses that, I'm also sending you a bunch of free materials that kind of a checklist for yourself as you're making your first content. And then we'll reach out to you through Brett's channels again. But again, like, the panel today that we've brought up, like, when Brett and I were talking about who best represents this philosophy, the first 4 names he pitched are who are up here today. And like, I have a personal relationship with all of these people. Like, he'd be like, hey, what about Piper, who went like as viral as you can get with 80 million views or something like that, and call me. She's like, how do I negotiate a deal with Starbucks? Or like Yena and I, like, we did like a career coaching session together, and like I met Colin through like my old operations manager. So I think this is like a really special group of people who haven't tried to be something they're not. Like, they are just being their true selves through their contents, and they are now all building audience and making money through that, and expanding, as I've watched them, even deeper into who they personally are. So I'll hand it back to Brett. That's a lot of me, but thank you all for coming. Like, this means a lot to me. And
Go Jack. That was great. Amazing. Well, now we'll bring up our full panel up here. Yena, Piper, and Colin. Let's give a round of applause for them coming on up. Amazing. All right. Welcome, everyone. Now to the stuff you've been waiting for. And again, let's please keep the chatter down to a little bit. I know in the back there's some chatter that sometimes happens, but, you know, well, let's keep it down a little bit. It's the nicest way for me to say it. Amazing. So we're going to let the panelists introduce themselves properly. Jack, you already introduced yourself, so we'll probably just show some of your content. But something new that we're trying with the introductions is that the panelists will say a little bit about them, and then we're going to actually show some of their content so that you can get a feel for who they are, and then maybe it'll help with some of the stuff that they say on the panel. So, Yena, you're right next to me, so I'll allow you to introduce yourself first.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for coming. My name is Yena Kim. I run the account Menswear Dog. I combine dogs and fashion. Curial.
My name is Yena Kim, and this is Menswear Dog. My niche came about organically when I leaned into a playful mood and dressed up my handsome Shiba in menswear, combining two things I love, dogs and fashion. Bodhi quickly became a viral sensation, and together we slashed through our bucket list. We published a book, met the biggest names in fashion and marketing, designed and sold out our own t-shirt collection with Nike, and worked with the best brands in the world.
Bodhi couldn't be here tonight as well.
Sorry.
He had a booking, which is all good. I mean, it's so cool. I love it. And if you've been a subscriber to the newsletter, you know that I've written about Yena and her amazing story. And we'll get the dog here soon. We'll get here soon. And Luke.
Yes.
Luke.
Yeah, Luke is reactive, so he might bite.
Oh, okay. I don't know. And Jack, maybe we'll just show Jack's reels, unless you have a little bit more of an intro.
Yeah, I'll say Yena and Colin earned extra credit and made like custom reels for this. I just want to show you 2 quick pieces of content. I don't know which one's first, so let's just like play it.
Spiders have overtaken Duncan. Well, their Instagram account, and it's only one spider. Meet Spidey D. He's a bit of a nuisance. You've probably seen Duncan's Halloween spider donut. To promote it on social media, the brand gave him a personality this year. It's very Gen Z internet bratish, but he's done a takeover of their entire Instagram account. Character marketing and creating IPs worked really well for brands in recent years. Think about the Duolingo Owl or Scrub Daddy or when the two of them got together. But what I really love here is it's a single photo that they are editing for every single one of these posts. Look at their grid. Every photo is either a crop or a slight color tweak. Like anyone could do this. I could do this on my Instagram stories. And it just goes to show you that idea beats production value every single time on social media.
That's great. It's a good line.
So, real quick for that, the reason I wanted to show that piece is like, if you know me, I'm a writer. That's what I do professionally. I have just started making video content for marketing, and that was the first one. And I just need to like rip the Band-Aid off. It is a terrible angle. The lighting's wrong. The editing is done on CapCut. But I just decided to try it to see what happened. That's my first ever video for this stuff. It did 1 million impressions on LinkedIn, and I only have 60,000 followers there. So like, this is where it's like, I want to show you this because even if you think you're a writer or just have one specific medium, just go try things, because if the idea is right, like you'd be amazed what kind of success you can get without any production chops whatsoever. And then I think we're going to show a basketball one real quick too.
I'm building the perfect rec league basketball team. That means a lot of different things. Like, sure, I want hoopers because we got to have the talent to win games, but I want guys who want to pass the ball and care more about the team than their own stats. I want players who actually like seeing each other and those type of friendships where you'll grab a beer after the game. I want good attitudes. I'm so tired of arguing over hoops. We gotta have good, wholesome dudes. What's crazy is I think I've actually pulled it off. I just put a 9-man team in the top division of Dynasty League. It's one of New York's most storied basketball leagues. Every one of us played college ball, and a few even played at the pro level. We're all here for the same reason, though. We miss real team basketball. So follow me here. I'm gonna document the season, and we're gonna see if team ball can win a league at the highest level.
All right.
So just real quick for that one, the reason I wanted to show that is there's nothing social best practice-y about that video. Like if you go watch a basketball content creator, they're doing things that I could athletically never dream of doing. You'll notice all my teammates do cool stuff and I'm just there kind of shooting the ball. I just had this idea that I wanted to form a team of guys who I really wanted to be around. I would have done that whether I had a social media account or not. Like that's the type of basketball I want to play, and just decided to turn it into content. I think I had 30,000 followers at the time. That video did 2 million views. And that's what then people ended up following my account for. And that became the primary series. That's the thing that I get stopped by other basketball players to ask about. It's like, how'd you find these guys? This is just a very true mission for me. It's like finding dudes who I want to hang out with. Like several of my teammates came tonight. Like, cause it's like, they're good
Where
dudes.
Where are you at?
I saw Will's over there.
Show yourself.
Ryan, raise your hand. He's a creator too. Ryan's over there. His wife, Angie's my videographer now. She's here. I see her, there's her phone up there.
What the hell?
She paid.
But yeah, I mean, nothing about that social best practices. That's just like how I'm living my life and trying to make some content out of it.
Amazing. And Piper?
Hi guys, I'm Piper. So excited to be here tonight. Thank you for having me.
Of course.
My background's in marketing, but as of January, I've been a full-time content creator, and I like to say, thank you. I like to say it's a little bit business, a little bit fun. So I think I said more in a little video. Hi guys, my name's Piper Phillips and I'm a content creator in New York City. My bio on everything is a little bit business, a little bit fun. And I think that sums up my content and my personality, honestly, because I love posting about career and personal growth advice for women in their 20s, as well as sharing my fun, chaotic, sometimes messy, sometimes overwhelming, sometimes glamorous adventures in New York City. I love speaking on panels and sharing advice about networking, relationship building, as well as my side hustle of being a musician. Previously, I served as director of marketing for a VC-backed nationally distributed beverage brand and helped launch the brand into New York City. I then left that position and shared my experiences being fun-employed, which quickly turned into self-employed as a now full-time content creator. I'm proudly self-managed and in the past have worked with brands including Starbucks, L'Oreal, Shutterfly, LinkedIn, John Frieda, and more. I'm so excited to connect with you guys and can't wait to chat more.
Woohoo! Welcome, Piper.
Woo!
Last but certainly not least, the man. Colin Rocker.
Thank you so much, Brett. Really happy to be here. So, hi everyone. My name is Colin Rocker, known online as Career Colin, and I'm a career creator, meaning I leverage my corporate background in consulting as well as startups to, as I say, equip and inspire the next generation of professionals, especially those who you may be the first in your family entering into that corporate environment. And so I've also leveraged in some lifestyle pillars, so showing my baby, showing my wife, showing my family in New York City, and I'll talk about a little bit more how I've sort of used that to leverage my brand. But I'm really happy to be here and answer all your questions as well.
Amazing. Look at his reel up. All right, let's give another round of applause for our panelists. A lot to see there, a lot to learn there.
My house is not a quiet place, I'll just say, so the voiceover was impossible.
It's all good. There was a text there. So if you're subscribed to the newsletter, I spotlit Colin this past week and shared a bit about its story. So I definitely encourage y'all to go check that one out. It was a good preview for what we'll be discussing tonight. And I think naturally, I want to go back to the beginning with all of you and kind of better understand what inspired each of you to start sharing content online. And then when was that turning point where things were like, this isn't a hobby or passion no more. This is something that's full time. Colin, I think we should start with you.
You're going to start with me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I started creating content in 2021, really in the midst of COVID, really wanting a creative outlet. I hated my consulting job at that point. I really wanted to just get information out there, and I made content about everything. I made motivational content, business news content, workout content. Nobody cared about any of that. And then I posted one video just cataloging what I thought was my boring day, and that rocketed up to like 100,000 views. I think I had like 800 followers on TikTok, and so I just sort of stuck in that niche. And I would say for the first 2 years, it was a very transactional. I'm going to show up on your feed and give you a piece of networking advice, and then I'm going to go away until tomorrow, right? But I think in the last year, I've sort of fine-tuned who I'm actually serving, and it's really this concept of like the first-gen professional, or the people who are navigating corporate America as the first in their family, and what that means, which has opened up all these different lifestyle pillars. And the thing that pushed me to go and do it full-time is I lost my job. And so I had already started to see a lot of traction in terms of what I was able to pull in from speaking, digital products, brand partnerships, and me and my wife sat down, and I said, if I took the 60 to 70 hours I was putting into this full-time role and put it into content, what could I do? And the more honest and vulnerable I've been and the more faith I've had in the process, the more I've been blessed along the way. So it's been really nice.
We love that. That's a cool story. Common theme amongst a lot of the creators that we've talked to or in this community have been that they leaned into what they're doing now full time because of a layoff. So there's always a silver lining to things that happen and worth taking that risk. So it's amazing to hear. And Piper, you?
Yeah, kind of similar. I started creating content almost as an experiment. I took this course about brand management, and there was a little mini course on personal branding. And I thought, let's just post about marketing, about personal branding, about networking, things I'm really, good at, on TikTok and see what happens. And so I started that about 2 years ago and then moved to New York City. And as everyone who lives here knows, the energy in this city is palpable, and I just started seeing the opportunities that people were getting from content creation. So I started leaning into that more while I was leading marketing for a beverage company, which I loved that job, and then slowly started to realize it wasn't the right fit for me anymore. And then at that point, I just was unhappy and decided it was time to take a jump. So I left that position not intending to be a full-time content creator, just could not do another day at a place I was unhappy. And then I had a moment that Jack alluded to earlier where I had this opportunity of a brand deal with Starbucks. And that was my first, 5-figure opportunity that made me realize, okay, maybe I can actually support myself financially here. And that was 11 months ago.
Wow.
Just casual Starbucks first brand deal, like totally normal stuff.
Love that. It's a big one. And also, Colin, you kind of grew recently as well, which is really exciting. So there's a lot of kind of fresh energy here, which is good, and I think most relatable, because kind of the folks who are just a couple steps ahead of you is a good way to see what you should be doing, versus everyone that's thousands of steps away. And Jack?
Yeah, I mean, I did not aspire to be a content creator. That wasn't the goal when I started writing on Twitter and LinkedIn. I just wanted better jobs. And I leveraged it into that. My last 3 full-time positions all came through Twitter DMs. I had a product manager at Spotify DM me saying, hey, love what you think about social, would love to work with you. And I brought $500,000 of Spotify work into my old agency. And it wasn't until Morning Brew actually talked to me, and they're like, hi, you're a creator, you just don't know it yet. Like, start a newsletter with us. And then suddenly we were off to the races. So like I've been very risk averse as a content creator. Like I waited till initially someone will give me a salary to do it. And then when they killed the program that had my newsletter and allowed me to take it over full time myself, like I was like, all right, well, there's something here. Let's see what happens. I mean, now I'm making significantly more as a content creator, writing and talking about the things that I was doing professionally than I did actually working in the space.
That's amazing. Very cool story. All right, round of applause. We love it. And Yena, you and the pups.
So I actually quit my dream job to become a creator. I was designing for Ralph Lauren, and I had done 4 unpaid internships to get there, and I really busted my ass. And the pivot point was, I was bored one Sunday, and my handsome dog was there. And I had samples, and I was like, let me just see what he does. He was not a regular dog. He was a diva dog. He looked at me. He was like, So I took these pictures and posted them. And pretty much overnight, they were featured on GQ. They were on Time Magazine. They were on CNN. And I actually ran out of sick days, and I did not want to lie to my team, because if I lied, they would be able to see it. So I had this choice, and this was when Instagram wasn't even monetized. It was a long time ago. So I had a choice. Do I want to go the traditional route, where I saw that my boss was miserable? Or do I want to explore something new? Because I initially, from the start, saw social media as a really, really huge marketing opportunity. I thought in 5-10 years, this is going to be massive. So I did not have any savings account, did not have any savings. I was living in the Upper East Side, and I was like, let's go for it. So I really had the fire under my ass to have to do well, because I had to literally pay rent. So what I did was I tried to be really inventive, and I really reached out. There were a lot of press opportunities. I would make relationships. I would make it so easy for them to say yes to me. I would package articles, take the photos, and be like, hey, you have a day you want off, you're busy, you're tired, you can just run this. So I made it super easy for them, and that's when it started really picking off. So for me, the policy was I do press for free, and then they will promote me, and then come the deals from the exposure. So I used that model, and grew and grew and grew, and I've been a creator for 10 years now, and I'd love to talk more about the longevity part as well, but
wow.
Yeah, it was worth quitting my dream job for this.
Obviously, you're still doing it full time now, which is just very exciting. And you were creating back when it like Tumblr was a thing.
Does anyone even know Tumblr?
I mean,
Yes, hi.
Do you know?
Tumblr.
Have you heard of it?
I think I was 10 years old.
Oh my goodness.
Thank you for that.
That ages me, y'all.
Diverse in age panel as well.
But I gotta say, Tumblr was an incredible opportunity, because on Tumblr, if you reblogged, then all of your followers see it. So it really spiraled quickly.
Sorry, what's a reblog?
Could you stop? We know we're old. It's fine.
Unbelievable. Love that. All amazing stories here. Jack, I want to bring it to you in the center here about this whole idea of incorporating yourself in your content. And I'm curious, what does that element give you that you couldn't get in content another way?
So I've spoken at a couple of your events before, and I think one of the things that we hear a lot is burnout. Whether it's you're in a position where you're trying to make rent, and your life literally depends on how much content you make, or if it's you're working a full-time job and trying to make an artistic endeavor, and then it's really easy to not find time for this kind of stuff. And I think the biggest piece of making content that's very much about yourself and that's very true to your personal thoughts is you really run very little risk of burning out on that. When I started doing the basketball stuff, which again, that's my second content stream. So didn't need it to pay bills, was just doing it for fun. I kept telling people oh, I've been doing this for 3 months. 4 months. I've been doing it for almost a year already. I just had forgotten because I was having so much fun making that content. I think the other thing is, especially like if you're someone here like that's a marketer, like you want to jump into like maybe less content creation, more personal branding, people start with curation and like, oh, look at this thing that someone else did. That doesn't show a potential employer, or if you're a content creator or a potential sponsor, who you are as a person, unless you're laddering yourself on top of that. What is your opinion of this thing you're writing about? So to me, like I really encourage everyone to like share your open thoughts. That doesn't mean be spicy, doesn't mean be have hot takes, but just share your personal viewpoints on things, because those first 10 followers, those first 100 likes, those will be people who really care about who you are as a person versus this like huge swarm of people who are jumping in because you did one trend piece of content who won't care about the next thing that you make because it has nothing to do with that.
That's super interesting. Piper, do you feel similarly in that element?
Yes, and we had a similar conversation about this because when I was posting, networking, career, personal growth specific advice for women in college, that was my niche. I was very marketing brain about it. I was like, what's my total addressable market? I was very specific about it. And then I got burnt out. And I was like, this isn't fun anymore. And I moved to New York, saw all these lifestyle content creators that were just posting what they ate for breakfast. And I was like, okay, well, that looks fun and low lift. Like, let's try that. And I'm half joking because it is difficult, right? Then if you want to be a lifestyle creator, it's really developing that parasocial relationship with your audience. And that's not easy to get someone to care about what you ate for breakfast. But I do really think in the long run, that's going to able to allow you to monetize better, and you're going to be happier, like Jack said.
Well, and to your credit, like I think you do such a wonderful job of letting people into like your whole life. Like, I mean, I met your boyfriend tonight. I'm like, oh no, I know all about you. Like, you're like the second star of this content. Like, I think a lot of people jump into lifestyle content, but they don't know how to make it really compelling or very true. And like I've seen you cry on camera in your content because you're being very vulnerable.
So cringy. You gotta do it anyway.
It's just part of it. But like, that's where people have such relation to you compared to like, I think other lifestyle creators.
Thank you. I feel like when you are vulnerable and you share all those parts, that's what gets you to relate to other people. And especially in New York where there's all these, glamorous activities and brand events and red carpets, like that's all nice and shiny. But I think an audience is also kind of sick of that. They want to see something that's real.
That's true. And Colin, when we were chatting last week, when I was interviewing you, we talked about this evolution where you kind of started with some more like strict type of stringent career stuff. But you've recently been evolving that, and you're incorporating yourself truly into your content.
Yeah, I would say, very similar stories to Jack and Piper. The best advice I got was to not take advice, right? And that's advice you literally gave me last week. And so I think it's like when you're starting out, I think it's very easy to fall into like a niche. And I will say like, niche has now become a dirty word, but like you have to know what makes your content unique. But I think about it as competency, charisma, conflict. Competency, I'm also a networker, right? I have had a job, multiple jobs, I've gotten promoted, right? Charisma, I think I can come off really well on camera, but also there's this element of conflict where I'm telling you my story. I'm choosing to share with you that I lost my job even though I give career advice. What the fuck? Why are you all listening to me? You know what I mean? It's like I'm choosing to tell you that like I found out my wife was pregnant and then I was like, how's this gonna affect my career? You know what I mean? Like that's the first thought I had, right? I'm sharing the fact that when I moved to New York, I didn't have any money. I stayed in an attic and slept on the floor right before I could save up enough to get into an apartment. And I think that's really allowed me to form a connection with my audience. And so they're not just watching me to get the next hottest tip or to even find the good brunch places or to know where to live in the city. It's like they want to hear that from me or from Piper or from Jack.
Yeah. I had a similar learning when I first started to ramp up posting content on LinkedIn. That's kind of my core platform. I was just like sharing the latest news in the creator economy. And I'm like, oh, TikTok announced blah, blah, blah. But no one cares about that stuff, right? They want to hear, well, what is Brett's thought on that? And so there's an element of sharing your personal take or, in other cases, your vulnerability elements. And I recently posted on LinkedIn about how I was like laid off a year ago, which was being vulnerable out there. And it took me a while to actually tell people I got laid off. A year ago, we had an event. If you were there, it was at Citizen M rooftop. Was anyone there? Maybe? Okay, some people. And I remember like people were asking, what do you do? And I was like, well, I'm kind of like last week I got laid off and I just told people like, like, in a transition phase, or I'm looking for what's next right now, or like, oh no, I do this, or I work in the creator economy. I wasn't comfortable with saying that I was laid off, and it took me some time to then be vulnerable about that. But now when I said it, so many other people were commenting like, I'm in the same situation. And it's like, wow, that's how you build community and build an audience, is when you're being vulnerable and you're being yourself. And it felt refreshing and easy, because I'm like, this is my everyday life that I'm living right now, is with that truth. And I'm looking to do that more and more. And on your end, where I feel like we relate is that we are kind of like faces behind a brand, where it's like, you got Menswear Dog and I have Creator Economy NYC, but there's elements of what we're doing where it's infusing more of us. And I've been seeing a lot more of you infusing into your content with your pups and everything like that. Talk to me about that current evolution, and like, why now are you leaning into it? And maybe it deals with the longevity of you as a creator, because you've seen the transition and what works.
Yeah, to be very honest, I think in the beginning it was like a confidence thing where, I started from the very curated Instagram feed era. By the way, no one cares what your feed looks like. You're the only one that cares or looks at it. So if that's anything that you hesitate about, just let go of it. So for me, first it was a confidence issue. I was really not comfortable being in front of the camera. But I also think my thought evolution for my personal branding was this. I come from a fashion background, so if you think about fashion trends, you look around and you see, okay, this is trending right now, let me do that. What is that going to say about you weeks and months from now? And then if you're the Margiela or like the Bottegas of the world, you are focused on your own thing. You are researching, you are building, you are internalizing, and you're creating something that is your own. Yes, it might take time, but you are the only person that can do that well. You're the best at doing that one thing. So there might be so many amazing photographers, so many amazing dog accounts, but I am the best at doing dogs in menswear, mic drop. So I really love that space. And here's the thing, in the beginning I was like, okay, this is a very, very tight niche. I can work with like dog brands and then menswear brands, and that's it. No, I was working with like Jimmy Choo. I was working with furniture brands, coffee brands, literally anything you can put a dog next to, a very handsome dog next to. It did really well, because sometimes people are tired of looking at people and they're like, let me see what that outfit looks like on a really good looking dog. And also you got the triple takes. So I feel like you really have to look at yourself. And, I think, Piper, you mentioned this. What do people ask you advice about? Like, what do people come to you for? Think about that in your life and, when you're hanging out with your friends. What are they asking you? That is the essence of what you have that other people don't. So listen to that and build on that.
I love that. That's a great answer.
That's good advice.
All right, we'll get the applause. So there's this element of like a term I heard called like your personal monopoly, which is where you take all these elements of like what you're good at, or the intersection of them all. It's from David Perel from Twitter, and I feel like you have found that personal monopoly of like dog content and menswear fashion, where it's like, again, you're the best that does it, and perhaps you're the only one that's doing that. So I'm curious if like finding that element of like you are the only one who does your thing is necessary, or can it be the fact that like you can do what someone else is doing, but what people are turning to you for is the fact that it's you that's doing it. And so Jack, I'm curious if you have thoughts on that.
Yeah, so you mentioned like, we all think about brand deals once you start doing content creation. It's like, okay, like who is my addressable market? Like who's gonna actually sponsor me? And one of the other secrets of if you make your brand like about something that's truly you is you actually open yourself up to a wider range of sponsors. So like for my basketball account, I intentionally didn't offer sponsorship the first 9 months. It's only been open for 3 months, and I've done 50,000 in sponsorships in the last 3 months, none of which are basketball brands. I've like actively not wanted to get basketball brands to prove I could do something else. And then we talk about personal monopoly. So the first brand deal I did for the basketball account was Huel, which is a like ready to drink meal replacement. It's like kind of protein shake and kind of be like a full meal. And they came to me and wanted to work with me as both a marketing creator and a basketball creator. So the video I made for them was, hi, I can actually like help pay for my teammates' rec league fees now and actually get in shape because I have this sponsor that's on the same mission path as me.
Looking good.
But then they also sponsor me to write about our deal on my LinkedIn as creator economy contents. Like, that's something that who else could do that kind of thing? And I'm able to build these packages where I'm getting sponsors across the board now.
Right. So do you consider that your person monopoly, where it's like basketball meets marketing meets creator economy? It's like, who else is doing that?
They're all separate things, and I treat them as separate media businesses, but both of my first basketball deals then asked to access my marketing audience. So they become like calling cards for one another. So like, I treat them both individually as different monopolies, but they're now feeding each other in a way like I never would have expected this.
Interesting. Piper?
I'm a big fan of juxtaposition. So taking things that don't necessarily make sense together, you wouldn't think they go together, or some people think they even oppose one another, and putting them together. Only if it's authentic to you. For example, for myself, I had this realization of I was on this business track that seemed very serious. I had the pleasure of speaking at board meetings, when I was 23 years old. Like, that's a really rare thing. And I felt like I had to be this like very serious businesswoman persona. And then at the same time, I'm also in my early 20s in New York City, and I like going out and dancing on tables till 3 a.m. Like, those things don't seem like they should go together, but they can when it's authentic to you. So, I mean, that's like my little video said, like a little bit business, a little bit fun. That, when I was thinking about what do I want to represent, what do I want to be, I want to be able to grab things from both of those categories. So actionable advice, I would think about what are things that you like that don't necessarily fit perfectly in a niche. See if you can combine them, because then you create that little special mixture.
I love that. And there's a lot of inspiration here in New York to find those bits. And so it's kind of like what you mentioned about what do people ask you for about advice, but also like, what do you like to do in the city that perhaps is unique? You like to go record shopping, or go to vintage stores and things like that. And what can you create around that? That doesn't need to be necessarily knowledge-based. Like, not everything needs to be educational. And Colin, you had something to add to this element.
I was going to say that about a year ago, I made a resolution where it's like, I want to stop making content that I feel other people can make, and I don't want to compete, and I don't want to play fair. And so like when I'm very competitive, but like when I show up on someone's feed, I want the way into how I talk about a topic, maybe the way I shoot that content, maybe, there's something about how I relate it to this other thing I'm doing, like you were saying, but it's like, you don't really want to be competing, and like we're all, I think you said this earlier, like we're all categories of one on this stage, right? Even where, of the four of us, right, I think I'm probably closest to Piper in terms of the content we make. My back gave out a while ago. I'm not dancing on tables, like I'm running out of here because I have to put a baby to sleep, right? And so it's like, I think if the closer you get and the deeper you get into who the fuck you are, but also what I liked about what you said is like you give yourself the opportunity to pull from whatever category you want to, like a little bit business, a little bit fun. What the fuck does that mean?
Everything,
you know what I mean?
Everything.
But it's like,
on purpose.
But like it gives you that flex, right? And so I really like that. And so I think like try to be a category of one, and don't think of yourself as competing with other content creators. Like, try to be, how can I be as specific as possible?
Well, and something I think is important there is like, we're all talking in the aftermath of our strategy, but we all did start by just posting stuff. Yeah. Like you start by doing it. True. Then you analyze what you've done, see if you actually enjoy that, start to narrow it down from there, and then build whatever the next phase of this is. So like, what I don't want anybody in this room to do is get stuck in like decision paralysis, or like in this whole like existential crisis, like who am I through my content? Just start making some things and see how it feels, but then come back and do that exercise with yourself to see if it's true to you.
So that's a good point. I'm actually curious, like for a lot of the creators in the room, we're approaching the end of the year. The best time to start creating, if you're not already or you're currently doing it, is keep it going, is getting this head start going into 2025. What would you recommend doing in like the first 30 days of starting to build that personal brand element? I mean, would you say just start freaking posting stuff?
If only there was a course that I could.
Not planned.
I love that plug.
What I would hope is like if you've been on the treadmill for a while now, like start to slow down a little bit. I just kind of said this a little bit, but like slow down and figure out which pieces of content like you had the most enjoyment making. Like my rules for my personal business now is either it's got to be full on fulfillment for myself, or better make me a lot of money. And if it's in between those, I think you get yourself in a lot of trouble if you start doing that. If you put a lot of work into content that's not doing big numbers or it's not making you a brand deal somewhere. So like, I really try to go to those two extremes. And like, if I'm being honest, I go more towards the fulfillment because that then usually generates more views because I'm more passionate. I put more work into it, which then comes around and gets me a brand deal at some point.
And you can start by just posting about your experience at this event to build some momentum, which is another plug there. Now, there's a lot of growing as a personal brand. Colin, you mentioned something to me about this idea of like growing with your audience. Like, what do you mean by that? Because, I guess to me it's like, well, as you're growing older and experiencing new stuff, you're not the same person that perhaps made someone follow you initially. Yeah. Like now you have a kid, and maybe now you're doing more fatherhood content. But what do you mean by this idea of growing with yourself, growing with your audience?
It's like the reason like The Weeknd doesn't sing about Coke anymore, right? Because like now he's older, you know? Maybe not as much, I don't know. But like I think he's still a little sad, I feel. But like when I started making content, my bed touched 3 walls of my bedroom, right? I didn't even have a hairstyle like clarified for myself. I wasn't, I was dating a girl that ended up becoming my wife, but I hadn't even proposed to her yet. Like I was living with a roommate in Hell's Kitchen, paying $1,300 a month to live in this walk up next to these drug dealers that played a lot of The Weeknd. That's probably why that was in my head. But I think what it means is from a level of authenticity, you won't stay the same, so your content can't stay the same. Yeah. And that's the actual hard part, is how do you talk about what is changing in your life in a way that's still authentic, but in a way that will still give you, I mean, very realistically, like the reach you need in order to continue growing as a business and as a creator. And so I think it's like realizing the elements of yourself that like are changing and coming up with, or just honestly, it comes from a level of vulnerability, like sharing things in bits and pieces after you've had time to process them to whatever extent you need to. But yeah, I think that like if you started following me in 2021, now it's 2024, like it's a huge journey. You've seen me go through multiple jobs, multiple industries, multiple apartments. There's a kid now, you know, like there are all these things that are new that are sort of being added to the formula.
I love that.
I love what you said because it is so true. I'm a big, no. I had a little crisis when I quit my job because at that time, what I was posting about 1 to 2 times a day was my job. So I was like, wait, I had like around 100,000 people, whatever, 50,000, somewhere in between there, follow me at that point for my, day in the life director of marketing in New York City content. Are people going to actually care about me? And it was kind of a scary feeling. And to be totally transparent, I think it's normal to see, ups and downs in your engagement. If you post about one thing and then you switch it up, you're going to see that, but the people who actually have a connection with you as your audience are going to stay, and they're going to want to see you grow.
Absolutely.
And I was very excited to see your cute little baby. So, I mean...
Thank you. I only post the cute clips of them online.
It's great.
Well, I think we end up talking a lot about like niches. That becomes like the number one question. I feel like creators, like, who am I speaking to? Like, do I fit in this niche or this pocket? And like, how do I compare to other people in that? And like the analogy that I use a lot is like, I hope we've all seen the TV show New Girl, or at least heard of it. Like, she was the new girl for 1 episode. Then you just watch the show because the characters had great relationships with each other. Like, it's just a bit to get you in. So, like, you'll do yourself favors if people can very easily say, like, oh, like, Colin makes this kind of content. Piper makes this kind of content. But the reason your followers will stay with you is if they have a personal relationship with you. And you do have to go deeper than like just career tips. Like, you have to tell them why you personally feel that, what you've experienced, and like what you think they might experience. That's how you build an audience that lasts.
I also think if you're successful in building a personal brand where the person is you might pivot careers, you might pivot life changes, but because you made it about you and genuinely who you are, people will be down to hear about what you have to say next. But if you focus only on branding, only on selling, why would they listen to you? If you were talking about marketing first and then now you're talking about something completely different, it doesn't make sense, and you get actually exposed for not being genuine to yourself. So as we're talking about personal branding, I think that's really important to really think about the why of what you do. Why do you do what you do? Why are you a creator? Is it because of money? Why because of money? Who do you care about that you need money for? Is it safety? You have to really, really dive into these things and make this so specific and granular that when you wake up, you go, that's the thing. That's why I'm making content today. And that'll be actually your motivation. and that'll be the thing that'll keep you going for a decade, all right? So I feel like even if you take a day or two, a few weeks to find yourself and really ask yourself this, you'll do yourself a really, really big favor in deciding what kind of collaborations you want to do and deciding what kind of content you want to make. Even when you're A/B testing, what kind of content you want to A/B test with.
I love that. So back to the newsletter the other week, I interviewed a creator named Gabby Beckford, if anyone's familiar with Gabby. And we got some Gabby fans here. And Gabby spoke about like that why element. She goes, when I was first starting creating, I actually wrote out why am I doing this? And that why is what drove her to go and pick up the camera every day or type out whatever it might have been for her, what she was creating. And then that why is what drives you and also allows you to say no to all the other shit that's in the way that doesn't contribute to that why. And I think a big element of the personal branding of what you're posting is about, why are you out here talking about this thing? And it affords you the flexibility that when you do lose your job, people are still sticking around to follow you because they didn't follow you for your job. They followed you because of you. So.
Absolutely true.
I love
and
that.
I think it's fun also, we talk about like situations changing, but you might just wake up one day also and have a desire to post something, like Jack with his basketball. Me, I grew up as a performing musician, didn't share any of that online for years. And then after being in New York for 2.5 years, one day I woke up and I was like, you know what? I miss music and I want to post about it.
Yep.
And I started doing that. And so it's like, I think it sounds so cheesy, but it's following your heart of what will actually just make you happy to share with the world. And you can feel that. You can feel when someone's being authentic versus when they're posting something because it just lights them up.
I love that. All right, I have one more question. I do want to open it up to the audience to ask some questions. I appreciate everyone tuning in and listening here. So many people in the audience, as we kind of saw, are kind of just starting to share their stories online. What's one practical tactic, I know we've had a lot on here, but practical tactic or mindset shift that you want them to walk away that will help them overcome hesitation and to start creating in confidence? If anyone wants to kick us off, Yena, you're ready.
I used to struggle a lot with feeling self-conscious, or maybe it's how I grew up. But I have to tell you, especially when you're starting out, nobody's watching what you're doing. Nobody cares what you're doing. So if you are afraid to post and you're overthinking it, don't, because it's all in your head. What you have to do is focus on testing. You have to try and just put out the content. If you hate yourself and you're watching it and you're like, this is so cringe, I don't want my high school friends to see this, who cares? They got their own lives, they got their own problems, they're not watching you. So overcome that and understand that only if you go through that hurdle will you understand what will perform well for you. And if you're not ready to do that, you have to make yourself ready to do that in order to start content.
Love that.
I think the most important thing is to make content that you are personally proud of. Like if you like the content, the views really will matter less to you. And the comments that you get will be the people who you specifically want to target. Like if you're building a personal brand on LinkedIn because you want to find your next job, to have a wonderful 20-year career, you only got to impress 5 hiring managers. That's like 5 people. So just make stuff you're proud of.
And to also think that, to get Freudian for a second, like we are driven by pleasure and pain. Okay, stay with me here. So if you're having trouble hitting post because like you're worried about the pain, I would encourage you to flip it and think about all the cool opportunities, amazing fulfillment, money, whatever drives you personally, that's gonna happen by making that content. And think about, the pain or the regret or whatever, the negative feelings of what's gonna happen if you don't. Because rejection, embarrassment, being vulnerable, I still sometimes get embarrassed when I post something really vulnerable. I like throw my phone across the room and don't want to check it for 3 hours because I'm like, oh, did I just post that?
Post and ghost.
Yeah, seriously. So it's so cliche, but you have to like think about the upside of it because your embarrassment is the cost of entry. Like everyone's embarrassed in the beginning, and that's just what you got to get through to get to the good stuff.
It's the saying of climbing Cringe Mountain. That you got to climb Cringe Mountain to make it to the land of cool.
I don't know.
And
I'll let you know.
That's
when
an
I
actual saying, though. But if you look up Cringe Mountain, there's that element of like, it's going to be cringe in the beginning. and you're gonna have to get comfortable with it, but then you reach it on the other side in the land of cool, and all of your high school friends are like, damn, like, look at that motherfucker's posted it. All this stuff's going on, and I've seen people from high school that start posting, and because I feel in the same position as them, I'm like, that's amazing that like you also kind of like got over that hump, because of course we're all worrying about our high school friends for some reason. It's the craziest thing.
Probably has to do with Freud as well, but
Yes,
yeah.
it's
Anyway.
Absolutely.
Always goes back to Freud. And go on.
The last tip is a tough question to answer last, but I will say that the thing that helped me that I didn't realize I needed until very recently was community. I know you're gonna like this, but like I think as a creator, the thing I miss the most, it's not the fucking health insurance. I get that from my wife, thankfully. But it's a hack.
All right, copy.
Otherwise it would be. But like I think I have a kid, life insurance. But I think surrounding myself with other A players, especially people who are as committed as me or more than me, or who are maybe even a couple steps ahead of me, that I can sort of bounce ideas off of and sort of feel related to. I mean, this is weird shit. You know, like we're putting phones in our faces, we're looking at filters, we're trying to get brand deals. Oh, I don't like how you said that. Can you fix the lighting? It's like I come from consulting, I guess. I don't come from a marketing background, and so it's easy for me to make a spreadsheet or put a deck together, but like I had to learn what marketing was in order to become a better creator. And a lot of that learning was through the community I've curated, mostly by going to these events and like other things here in New York City. And so I would say, like, don't think you have to suffer in silence, and find that Slack group or that Discord or that, you know, live you hop on every week, right? And like find other people who are doing something similar, because that'll help you, and they'll be there to kick you in the ass when you get low views or when someone calls you cringe or all that stuff.
Yep. Creator Economy NYC, everyone. Appreciate the plug. So that was awful. And Jack's course is literally, and the new account you created is how to market yourself. And so I think what you're saying about as a creator, you're like, you know, I need to learn how to market myself. That's all what it is. It's just personal branding.
I really
element.
do, and honestly, I regret not coming here with something to plug. Like, I have nothing to sell. Like, I'm just here.
Well,
Y'all came with products.
You're selling yourself.
How to market yourself.
Follow me.
Amazing. Well, I do want to open up for Q&A to take a couple of questions. If y'all are cool, kind of hearing from the audience and all of us in the community, I'm going to give you the mic, and I see some hands. So raise your hand if you do have a question, and I'll try to get to you. Front and center. Can we pass this back?
Hey guys.
State your name.
Can you hear me?
State your name.
Hey guys, my name is Sierra Ingram. I'm the creator of Emerging Frameworks. I guess my question to each of you, especially you, Brett, and is it Yena, is that what did you really find out between being a like personal brand and being a separate brand? You know, Brett, you have the Creator Economy NYC brand, and then, you know, the personal branding. What's really I'm in a position where I'm trying to figure out what's the real benefit of being a traditional media company versus a personal brand.
Brett, do you want to start?
All right. That's a great question. So I think that like there's this element that people trust people, which is like the trend we're seeing in the creator economy. And it's obviously what we're all talking about. And there's this element of like individuals over institutions. It's why like we're seeing a lot of newscasters today like are leaving the bigger networks to go and do something independently, because people want to hear from people, and they realize the power they have as an individual to connect with audiences. And so I think it's interesting. Like when I'm going through the guest list for the RSVPs and stuff, I'll check out like everyone's profiles and stuff that they state, and I'll stalk you. No, I'm kidding. I'll go through just to vet, and like I see a lot of profiles from folks who are creating accounts that are like those marketing and like consultancy accounts, but there's just a brand to it. There's no face, and I feel like the person who's signing up, like you are the face of that, and you need to kind of put yourself out there, because the reason people are going to turn to you is not because you offer marketing services or coding services. They're going to turn to you perhaps because they relate with you the most, and that's what's going to enable you to kind of at least market yourself better and get seen more often, which then may lead to more business, more brand deals, whatever it might be. And so with Creator Economy NYC, like sure, there's like an element behind it that is it's just a brand, but I really do try to make sure that myself is visible without like this being entirely me. And I think it's unique with what I'm building because it is community based, but certainly like there is an element of like, oh, I know Brett, perhaps I'll go to that event or I'll tune into his content. which is interesting. So a bit long-winded, but I'm still figuring all that out right now.
So I think it's about trust. It's incredibly easy for anyone to make an account, make some really nice looking logos, put some really nice pictures in there, and position themselves as a media company or a corporation. But in order to gain the trust, they need to see a face. They need to see the person. They need to see consistency and effort from that person. And I feel like that's the differentiating factor when I look at two accounts and one is a logo and one is a person. I'm immediately going to trust the one with the person because they are betting on themselves and putting themselves out there as their media company, and that's accountability. So immediately, I think you have to go that direction.
So the thing I would add to that, though, is everyone's comfort level with how much they put themselves out there is different. So like you saw me in video content, that's all in the last year. I've been a creator for the last 5, and like I wasn't comfortable being on camera. I was no good on camera for a long time. So I focused on writing. And like with the way the platforms work now, you can be a successful writer on Instagram. So like what I would say back to you is like whether you're trying to build yourself or a brand or a media company, like it kind of goes back to, I think, general marketing first, where it's like, how will you personally succeed and what are you best equipped to do? Whether that's you want to be the face out there. Do you have another way to succeed if you are not the face out there? I would go there and then come down to whether it's about you, it's about the product, it's about the media, and just keep trickling down to see what you're comfortable with and how you plan on winning.
Love that. That's a really great question because I think a lot of people in the room are in the same boat. Oh, we got up here. You guys are all front. You go ahead and we'll pass it off.
Well, thank you so much. Well, my name is Sebastian, and I have like a dilemma when it comes to content. So I run a staffing and recruitment firm. I'm making content on LinkedIn. Everything is going well, but I'm also a professional rap battler. So I do Spanish rap battles where like Eminem. So my thing is that obviously, I'm on LinkedIn, I'm posting content, and I know like if I exploit my rap battle background, it can be good. My only thing is that like, let's say I have a lead, and most of my leads are in the 40s, and then they go to my LinkedIn, this is me coursing someone in Spanish. So I'm kind of like, obviously you Jack, you have the basketball and then your business, but is there a way to kind of like change, like just want to hear you guys' feedback, or should I just stay out of LinkedIn for that specific content? But yeah, just wanted to
So first of all, awesome. This is
Can
the
we hear a sample?
coolest problem to have ever.
Well, if anybody knows how to make a beat and I need 3 Spanish words, I can do it, yeah.
Ready.
Okay, Spanish words.
Hola.
Hey,
Despacito.
dale. Ey, ¿qué me dice? Mira cómo vengo de la casa. No sé lo que pasa, pero vengo de la plaza. Inteligencia loco de la NASA. Dice que me gana, pero mira cómo vengo de la raza. No me canso, mira cómo avanzo. Dice que me gana, pero yo vengo de Babson. Sí, yo no soy loco, un handsome. Mi nombre es Sebastián. Wow, man, I'm so handsome. Hasta le cambié lo para el inglés. Dice que me gana, pero tengo la fluidez. Así que mira cómo yo lo hago en la vez.
Yeah, give it up for him. Yeah.
Holy moly.
Whoa.
That did not disappoint.
Awesome.
Whoa.
This is why we do this.
I see that on LinkedIn all the time. No, I mean, so the answer is however you personally want to handle your career. Like, I can totally understand if you're like, hey, with my, like, it'd be really easy to tell you just be yourself and like, that's what you should be proud to do. It's a comfort level thing for you. Like, and that's where like, if you think your industry will have a challenge with that, if you don't want to expose that audience to that, there's no problem with that. Like, to be clear about my basketball and my marketing stuff, they live on different accounts. Like, my basketball account's called How to Hoop Forever, and then I just launched a brand new marketing account that's called How to Market Yourself. And then if you search my name on LinkedIn and Twitter, that's where all my content's historically lived. So like, I do keep my worlds fairly separate, but like, make no mistake, if you like Google my name, like I've had marketing sponsors be like, so basketball, what's happening here? So like, to me, I think you could tell really interesting stories on LinkedIn about how that's changing your life and what it's like to be a dynamic person who has interests. And we're seeing LinkedIn shift to be a lot more about wider personal branding as Elon ruins my favorite social network. So like, I would say like, do it to your comfort level. There's no wrong answers with it. Thank you, Brett. I appreciate the condolences. But yeah, it's up to you is the honest answer there. I will say that people follow you on a social network usually for like one or two things. So like if you post mostly rap battle content, they may not understand that you're a recruiter. So like if you're gonna do both, I would try to be very balanced between the two.
That's great. Yeah, you could post on LinkedIn and rap about it. I mean, there's none of that. Sometimes LinkedIn content can be a little bit boring, and you'll bring an element of fun to it all. So,
and quickly think as you find whoever's next. Like what I would add is like don't be so like restrictive of your niche where you never post anything else about yourself. Like I like an 80-20 rule. Like 80% whatever the thing you're doing is, and then 20% adding color to whatever that main niche is.
all right, any over here? In the back? I want to get you the mic so that it records. I'm coming through.
Can anybody rap battle him? Like we can just like totally digress.
Hello. Alex Coppolo. I read about what? Alex Coppolo. I read about sponsored content strategy in the sports industry. So niche topic, but nevertheless, looking to take the dive into video. So what are the best tools for starting from recording, editing, time savers? What is the best way to get it going, especially if you don't have much time to add another layer?
Do you have one of these?
I do.
Okay. Question answered.
I would use CapCut.
Yeah. CapCut too.
There was some CapCut slander from one of you guys earlier. I love CapCut, and it's free.
Love
Yeah.
CapCut.
I think everyone should start on CapCut because it's so easy. It's a great tool. I use CapCut.
Oh, Mr. Adobe Premiere Pro over here.
My carpal tunnel's
Are they
real.
a sponsor?
No, I mean I did all of my basketball stuff on CapCut for a long time, but like straight up, like my thumb was killing me trying to edit content, and I didn't find.
There's a desktop version.
I didn't find their desktop app strong. I think the mobile app's incredible. Yeah. But then I went to Premiere at some point, and I had like one of my teammates who's also a content creator. He like gave me a crash course. I don't know really how to use Premiere, but I know how to move a couple things around to tell a story. So like
Captions app is also really good.
Also good app.
Yeah. Oh, this is louder now. This is good. Yeah, there's a lot of platforms out there, but Captions and CapCut's good. But I can feel you. It gets a little annoying.
What is like your guys' full tool suite when it comes to like video? Is it just CapCut?
It's CapCut, one of those little $10 lights, and my iPhone.
There you go.
And the sticky thing. You guys know by now. The Octobuddy.
Yeah.
Yes, of course.
iPhone content or CapCut, and then Notion for like planning and scripts.
Also, there's this company called Moft, M-O-F-T, if anyone's familiar. They have this case on your back of your phone that like turns into a stand for you to like basically create content anywhere, and you can angle it properly. So a lot of great resources out there. You need M-O-F-T, Moft.
Use Brett's affiliate code.
Yeah, well, maybe we'll have them sponsor an
Wait.
event. I don't know.
Should.
Yeah, they should, because it's really cool, and they're very sleek, and they're like origami design. So really awesome stuff. What was your question? Yeah. Okay.
Well, and real quick, like I think a lot of us are gonna hang out afterwards to like continue to answer stuff. So we don't get to you like now. Like I'll hang out till everyone leaves. So like feel free to come up later.
Hello? Okay. Basically, like, I recently went viral on TikTok, which was awesome, and I know everyone has those viral moments, and then, you have to figure out your plan. And I think kind of what he alluded to earlier is, like, I also went viral on LinkedIn recently, but it's a very different audience, and I don't like my coworkers following me. I tell them I'm not on social media, and that's clearly a lie. But I think a lot of people can relate. When you're growing on social media, you're not exactly at the point where you can pivot to being full-time or even monetize yet, but you're recognizable. Like, how did you guys manage that with your 9 to 5? Because, like, my team, I feel like they keep indicating they know I'm on social media, and I'm like, girl, do not perceive me. I'm not there. But, like, I clearly am, and it's like, it's a weird position to be in. And it sounds like all of you guys have gone through that inflection point.
Okay, I have so many thoughts on this because this is something I struggled with as well. I think we had this negative connotation, denotation of what an influencer was, or at least I did. And it was negative in my head. There was a vanity or the shallow, and I was scared that people would perceive me that way. In 2024, I think that if it's not already very apparent, it's going to become even more apparent in 2025, that content creation is a fact of life and a respectable industry to go into because it means so many different things. And to make you feel better, a little story is in the past, obviously, cosmetic brands, lifestyle brands, like content creation, working with content creators has been a very acceptable thing, right? But for maybe the more serious industries, for people who work in conservative industries, it's still kind of a taboo thing. 2 weeks ago, I went to an influencer event with BlackRock. Okay, like they're working with influencers. That shouldn't make sense. And I had someone on a panel last week come up to me and she's like, I want to start making content and I know I'm legally allowed to, but I work in investment banking. There are certain things I can't say, whatever. But I know I can post things, but I'm just scared. And I just strongly believe that every industry is going to see content creation infused into it. So if you feel embarrassed or awkward, I think we all feel that way, but it's just becoming more normalized. And I think the time to get started is now when you still feel a little bit awkward because that means it's not oversaturated yet.
Yeah, I mean, what I say is like reach is the new resume, you know? And so like when I in the past was interviewing for jobs and I was making content like regularly, I didn't go into any of those conversations cold because like everyone does. Like they do stalk you a little bit, but they can find my content and I give career advice. And I'm telling you, you already know my philosophy on building a team. You already know my philosophy on return to office or, you know, how to dress in the office or how I approach my work in general, right? And so I think that's like, on the viral video piece, honestly, like there's this old quote, right? It's a proverb, I'm probably gonna mess it up, but it basically says like, if you remove how much you place with like compliments, like bad stuff won't like hurt you as well. Basically, like, don't put too much stock in the fact that you had a viral video. Like, whatever you feel like making next is what you should make next. You don't have to do a story time. You don't have to make 18 parts, you know? You don't have to keep responding to the top content of the next video. Like, if you organically want to do that, you can, but don't overthink that. But I would say that, like, if you have the capacity to go viral, I would figure out a way to definitely leverage that into, like, at least expanding your professional and personal brand, because that is, as you were saying, like, I think a lot of professional workers are seeing this on LinkedIn a lot, or like getting into content creation.
Yeah, capitalizing, going viral, like the Hawk Tua girl. So you're doing a good job. I promised you on a question. Still have one?
My name is Zinzi. I am a visual artist, yoga enthusiast, and traveler. My question is, when you're building your personal brand, are you concerned about the algorithm, or does your personal brand like supersede the algorithm once people are heavily invested into you?
I have a lot of algorithm thoughts. First of all, the algorithms are good for you. Like, they push content to the people who want to see that content. Like Instagram and TikTok have masterful algorithms at this point. So the answer is no, I never worry about the algorithm, in that my content's gonna get to the people that it needs to get to. I encourage you to think about things like social hooks. Like, I really strongly believe, like, is your creative idea good enough? And then is the social hook in the first 3 seconds good enough? Really determines how well your content performs. But the second you start worrying, like, I've worked in social for 15 years, and I've had so many clients like, the algorithm changes daily. No, it doesn't. It just doesn't. Like, and even the best practices in social haven't really changed in 15 years. Like, is it compelling? Does it make sense for the audience you're trying to reach? So, like, I would say, don't sweat the algorithm. And that's why, again, like, getting back to like making content that personally fulfills you, 500 likes that are about the thing that you want to talk about are so much better than going viral about something you have no interest in making content about ever again, because you just latch yourself to a specific trend.
I think it's really important to leverage algorithm, but never lose your vision.
Love that. Let's give a huge round of applause to our panelists. Unbelievable. You can follow all of these folks. And thank you, everyone, for your very thoughtful questions. The community questions are always better than my damn questions, but really great. I appreciate it. And oh my God, that was unbelievable. How much do I owe you for that one? That was good. I got paid. That was great entertainment. Jack, any final remarks about your upcoming course?
Yeah, I mean, so the reason we're here today is because Teachable asked me if I wanted to throw a launch party, and that made me wildly uncomfortable. I was like, can we just like talk about this stuff? I think it's really important. So, like, again, this is an idea that I think could help a lot of creators or a lot of marketers who want to build personal brands. So is the QR code up there? Great. Like, if you just throw your email in there, like, I'll give you the information when it comes out. It's going to come out in December.
And we'll send it a post-event email.
But again, like just as like an overall thing, whether it's about my course or everybody up here, like I just hope you're making content that is about you, that you're proud to make.
I love that. Amazing. And if you're going to come up to say hi to the panelists, just make sure you keep orderly. We're going to take a quick photo. But thank you, everyone. We're here for a little bit longer to mix and mingle.
Thank you all for coming.
Thank you, everybody.
Appreciate it.